The day I turned 30 hit me like a freight train. I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, staring at a face that didn't feel like mine anymore. My eyes were sunken, my shoulders slumped, and the weight of a decade's worth of regrets clung to me like damp clothes after a storm. I wasn't supposed to be here, not like this. I'd spent my 20s chasing a version of success I couldn't even define, running on a hamster wheel of late-night hustle, endless notifications, and a gnawing sense that I was falling behind. It was the realization that I'd spent years scrolling through social media, comparing myself to strangers who seemed to have it all. I'd log 12 hours a day on my phone, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it, numbing myself with highlight reels of other people's lives. I'd stay up until 3 a.m., eyes burning, watching videos of influencers flexing their perfect routines, promising that if I just woke up at 5 a.m. or drank celery juice, I'd magically fix my life. The breaking point came 3 months before my 30th birthday. I was at a friend's wedding, surrounded by people I used to call my tribe. They were laughing, dancing, living. I was there, but I wasn't. I felt like a ghost, invisible in my own life. I overheard someone whisper, "What happened to him? He used to be so driven." That stung worse than anything. They were right. I used to have fire in me, big plans, big dreams. But somewhere along the way, I'd let comparison and distraction steal it all. I went home that night, locked my door, and cried for the first time in years. Not because I was sad, but because I was angry. Angry at myself for wasting my 20s. Angry at the world for making me feel like I'd already failed. That night, I made a promise to myself. I was done living on autopilot. I didn't have a plan, but I knew I couldn't keep going like this. I started small, almost embarrassingly so. I deleted Instagram from my phone for a week. Just 1 week. I thought I'd die without it, but something wild happened. I started noticing things. The way the sunlight hit my coffee mug in the morning, the sound of birds outside my window. I hadn't heard those in years. I started journaling, scribbling down every thought that scared me. I'm not good enough. I'm too old to start over. I'll never catch up. Writing them down didn't make them go away, but it made them less heavy. For the first time, I felt like I was waking up. I pulled up my bank statements and stared at the ugly truth. $15,000 in debt, $200 in savings, and a job that paid just enough to keep me trapped. I tracked my time too, 12 hours a day on my phone, 4 hours sleeping, 2 hours actually living. The math didn't lie. I was throwing my life away one swipe at a time. That's when I knew I had to rebuild not just my bank account, but my entire existence. Turning 30 wasn't the end, it was the alarm clock I'd been ignoring for years. Waking up to the mess of my life at 30 was like staring at a house fire I'd started myself. The flames were my debt, my burnout, my obsession with screens, and I couldn't just stand there watching it burn. I had to fight back. But where do you even start when you feel like you've already lost a decade? I didn't have a guru or a self-help book to save me. What I had was desperation and a notebook full of questions I was too scared to answer. So I started answering them one by one and built a system that dragged me out of the hole. Here's how I did it, step by step, and how you can too. First, I faced the mirror, not the one in my bathroom, but the one in my head. I asked myself the hardest question, what do I actually want? Not what Instagram told me I should want, not what my parents expected, but what I wanted. It took weeks to figure out. I wrote down everything, dreams, fears, even stupid stuff like wanting to learn how to cook a decent steak. I realized I'd spent years chasing success without defining it. So I got specific. I wanted financial freedom, real friendships, and a life where I wasn't glued to my phone. That became my North Star. Step 1 was killing the distractions. I'd been spending 12 hours a day on my phone, so I downloaded an app called Freedom to block social media during work hours. At first, I'd reach for my phone like a reflex, but the app stopped me cold. I also set my phone to grayscale. Turns out, a black and white screen is way less addictive. Within a month, I cut my screen time to 4 hours a day. That's 8 hours I got back. 8 hours to think, plan, live. I used that time to start a side hustle, editing videos for small businesses on Fiverr. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid $300 that first month. For the first time in years, I felt like I was moving forward. Step 2 was tackling the money. That $15,000 debt was a monster, but I broke it down. I used the snowball method, paying off the smallest debts first to build momentum. I cut out takeout coffee, saved $100 a month, canceled subscriptions I didn't use, another $50, and put every extra dollar toward the debt. I also negotiated a $2,000 raise at my job by showing my boss a spreadsheet of my contributions. It wasn't easy, but seeing that debt shrink from $15,000 to $12,000 in 6 months felt like I'd won the lottery. I wasn't rich, but I was in control. Step 3 was rebuilding my relationships. I'd pushed people away, too caught up in my own spiral to notice. I started small, texting one friend a week to meet up, no phones allowed. Those coffee dates turned into real conversations, the kind I hadn't had since college. I also joined a local hiking group. It was awkward at first, I'm no athlete, but showing up consistently made me feel alive again. I made 3 new friends in a year, people who didn't care about my follower count or my job title. They cared about me. The final step was protecting my mind. I'd tried the 5 a.m. morning routine and hated it. It made me feel like a failure when I couldn't stick to it. So I created my own ritual, 30 minutes of journaling every night. I'd write what went well, what didn't, and one thing I'd do better tomorrow. It wasn't sexy, but it kept me grounded. I also started reading real books, not tweets. In a year, I read 15 books, from psychology to finance. Each one gave me tools to rebuild my life. The results? After 18 months, my debt was down to $7,000. My side hustle was pulling in $1,000 a month. I had friends I could call at 2 a.m. if I needed them. And my screen time? Down to 2 hours a day. I wasn't perfect, but I was no longer the guy crying alone in his apartment. I was someone who'd taken a wrecking ball to his old life and built something better. The best part? Anyone can do this. You don't need to be special or rich or young, you just need to start. I'm not standing here pretending I've cracked the code to a perfect life. I still have days where I scroll too much, where the debt feels like a chain around my ankle, or where I wonder if I'm still falling behind. But here's the thing. I'm not the same person I was at 29, staring into the void of my own reflection, feeling like my 20s were a mistake I couldn't undo. Turning 30 didn't just make me question everything, it forced me to rebuild everything. And if I can claw my way out of that dark place, so can you. Your life isn't over at 30 or 25 or 35. It's not over until you decide it is. So don't. Right now, you're probably sitting there, maybe feeling that same gut punch I felt, wondering if you've wasted too much time, if it's too late to change. It's not. The steps I shared aren't magic, they're just choices. Hard ones, messy ones, but choices you can make today. Grab a notebook and write down what you want, not what the world tells you to want, but what sets your soul on fire. Block those apps that steal your hours. Look at your bank account, face the numbers, and make a plan. Call that friend you've been dodging. Start small, but start now. Every second you wait is another second you're giving away to a life you don't want. Imagine this. A year from now, you're waking up in a life you actually recognize. Your debt's smaller, your relationships are deeper, your phone's no longer your boss. You're reading books that make you think building something, whether it's a side hustle, a hobby, or just a version of yourself you're proud of. That's what happened to me. I went from $15,000 in debt and 12-hour screen binges to paying off half my debt, earning $1,000 a month on the side, and having friends who make me laugh until my sides hurt. It's not a fairy tale. It's what happens when you stop scrolling and start living. So here's your push. If you're ready to stop questioning and start building, hit that subscribe button. Join the thousands of us who are done with autopilot, done with comparison, done with letting life slip through our fingers. This channel is about real stories, real steps, and real change. Not influencers selling you dreams, but people like you and me fighting for better. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's the one thing holding you back right now? How many hours are you spending on your phone each day? Be honest. It's the first step to taking your life back. Don't let another year pass you by. You're not too old, too broke, or too far gone. The only thing stopping you is the choice you haven't made yet. Make it today. Let's build something real together.